Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It just froze and crashed on me. So we, I think, end it here. Hopefully you can see the end of the video. All right. So little recap. We talked about we had one negative 0 because we only had one portion. Now, when it comes to this one, so since we had two sign changes, we have a scenario of two positive zeros or an even number minus 2. Well, what's the only even number between 1 and 2? 2, right? So 2 minus 2 gives you 0. So that's how we do Descartes' rule of sign. So we have two possible or zero zeros. Zero positive, sorry. Zero positive zeros. But the thing is, we're guaranteed one for sure because of that portion. So again, the whole thing of Descartes' rule of sign is giving you options when it comes to it. So once you find one, we can literally discard the rest of them. And you'll see in a little bit as why the power of Descartes' rule of sign. So that's steps 2. So now step 3, we go to rational zero, the theorem. So this case, right, a sub n is negative 2, and a naught is 6, negative 6, right? All right, so we already did this earlier, right? So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2 are the factors of that one. And this one is plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, and then plus or minus 3, and then finally plus or minus 6. So all possible scenarios we have, again, is these numbers divided by those. So all these divided by 1 is just itself, so I'll just rewrite the list here. Okay. And then all these divided by 2. So I'm just going to write the ones that are non-repeated. So 1 divided by 2, so that gives you the half. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's repeated. And then 3 divided by 2. And then 6 divided by 2 gives you 3, which I already have. So these are possible zeros to choose from. Okay, so we're guaranteed for sure they're going to be somewhere in here, possibly. Okay, that's not our case. That's steps 1, 2, and 3. Now, steps 4 is the most lengthiest of all because at this point, it is pretty much a complete guessing game. Now, what I mean by that is we're literally going to pick one of these and see if it's a factor or not using our factor theorem. So we actually don't have to not do synthetic division. We can use our factor theorem to see if our remainder is 0 or not. We can just choose from there. So let me show you guys a little snippet of what this is all about. Okay. All right. So let's suppose we want to choose a C value of 1, positive 1, right, just for fun. So what that means is if we plug it in, so f of 1, right, so we literally just plug into the function and see what we get out. Oh, it's supposed to be 1. So what does this give us? So this gives us negative 2 plus 11 plus 7 minus 6. So does that give us 0? No, it doesn't, right? So it gives us what? 10, I believe. So it's not 0. So therefore, 1 is not a factor of this polynomial. So basically, I can go back to my list and just cross out 1. And again, now we just guess again. So this one, it's literally a guessing game at this point when it comes to it. So let's just try 1 for the heck of it. Let's try 6, for fun. So we plug in 6. So f of 6 will be negative 2, 6 to the third power, plus 11, 6 squared, plus 7 times 6 minus 6. And then see what we get. Right, so 6 to the third power is a big number. Is at 216 times negative 2 gives you 432. Okay, plus 36 times 11 gives you 396. Plus 7 times 6 should be 42. And then minus 6. All right, so do we get 0? We always want to pray that we actually get 0 so we can slowly break it down from there. Well, let's see. And we get 0. Yay. Right. So what that means is 6 is a factor of this. Now notice, if we go back up here, because we got a positive, therefore we actually are guaranteed 2 positives and 1 negative. So That's what you mean by Descartes' rules of sign gives you options. So once we find one, the other options automatically eliminate. So we know automatically we have 2 positives and 1 negative. Okay. But before we do actually guess again and all that fun stuff, right? Since this is a cube function, right? Let's do synthetic division and break it down to help ourselves out. So I ran out of space, so I'm going to just use another sheet of paper for you guys. So let's do synthetic division with C equaling 6. So bring this down, negative 2 gives us negative 12, negative 1, negative 6, positive 1, 6, 0, right? Which is most important, but we get 0. All right, so what does this polynomial now looks like? Remember, it's 1 degree less. So this is negative 2x squared minus x plus 1 is this now polynomial. Now notice, right, the whole goal, remember, is to actually break this down into its factored format. Now we already know one factor, it's x minus c. So remember, right, in its factored format, it's x minus c. That's the factored format, so it's x minus 6, so it's opposite sign. So this is the factor we found from here, right? That's the factor from the 6 portion. Now, notice, this is a quadratic. And we know, so, factor quadratics, we can use, all those rules, right? All the 4 rules we talked about, last time. You can group them, AC method, all that fun stuff, to break it down. So the whole goal when it comes to a factoring these type of polynomials is to literally break it down to a quadratic, because we know quadratics, we could break it down much easier. So at this point, right, we have, if we use the AC method, we have negative 2 and negative 1 on the bottom. So two numbers when you multiply give you negative 2, but add a give you negative 1. Negative 2 and 1 should work. And since we have a 2 out here, we kind of just go straight to it. So we use the snowflake method to break that down. So this ends up being 1 over x. This is simplified. So the factors of this, it would be x plus 1 and negative 2x plus 1. So those are the factors of that. So of x, which is here, is broken down to the factors of x plus 1 times negative 2x plus 1 times what we saw first, right? The x minus 6. So that's completely factored down format using all these rules. So going back to step 1 degree, and notice we have 3 roots, right? 1, 2, 3 zeros. So we were consistent there. Using Descartes' rules of sign, so figure out what we have. Figuring out those portions, so we got lucky with the 6, right? And then step 4 is pretty much a guessing game. And again, that whole point is, right, is to break it down into a quadratic. Therefore, we know how to break it down from there. Okay. All right, so now using this little template, go ahead and try the next 3, B, C, and D. So go ahead and pause it. And then once you unpause it, we'll go through the answers together. So 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay. So let's try B now, right? So using the same template we did above. So first things first, degree of the polynomial, which is 4. So we should have a total of 4 zeros at the very end. Okay. Step 2, sign changes. So if we go notice, that's none. That's 1. That's not a sign change. That's 2. So again, we have 2 sign changes for this is odd, so it changes. And then 3. And again, we count. So going from here to here, that's 1 sign change. That doesn't sign change. That's another sign change, and none. So we got 2 and 2. So according to Descartes' rule sign, we have either 2 positive or 0 positive, because 2 minus 2 is 0. And the same thing. Okay, so now we go to step 3. So step 3, our A sub n is 1, and our A naught is 3. So it's a small group, which is much nicer to deal with, right? So factors of 1 is plus or minus 1. Factors of 3 is 1 and 3. Right? So much nicer to look at, right? We are guaranteed, well, in this case, those 4 to choose from. Now here's the thing. You may think, okay, that's all the factors. We're done. The problem with that is, well, we can actually have different types of factors. We're only talking about positives and negatives. However, we can actually have complex roots as well, so imaginary roots. So just because we have 4 here and we need 4 doesn't mean that's it. There's going to be those 4. We can actually just have 2 or even 1 because the other ones are the complex root or imaginary numbers. So just be wary of that little trap when it comes to it. Okay. So for instance, let's try this out. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? A sub n, oh, I am so very sorry. A sub n is 2. It's a plus or minus 2. What was I talking about? Okay, sorry about that. That should be a 2. So therefore, we have a couple more options. There we go. Very sorry about that. Okay, so hence I changed it because a sub n is actually a 2, not a 1. I was looking at the wrong question. Sorry about that. So we actually have now these ones. So, but again, the same concept still holds though. Just be wary about if you have 4 there. Okay. All right. So now we go to step 4, and again, it's literally a pure guessing game. So start with the basics. Let's just start with 1. Help ourselves out. So if we do that, plug in 1 to our function. And see what we get out. So this is 2 plus 1 minus 7 minus 3 plus 3. And I'm pretty sure that definitely doesn't give you 0. So it doesn't equal 0, right? So that's what I care about. So cross out 1. That doesn't work. Well, let's see. What else you guys want to try? Negative 1? Let's try to get a negative 1, right? Get rid of all the ones out to begin with. So let's plug in negative 1 into our function. So plug in negative 1. This is just going to, for time's sake, just quickly do this. This is 2 times negative 1 to the 4th, negative 1 to the 3rd. All right, so this is just 2. This is negative 1. This is negative 7. This is positive 3, and then plus 3. All right, so what does this give us? Let's see. Does this give us 0? Let's find out. So 6, it's negative 1. Oh yeah, it gives us 0. Beautiful. So we found a factor. All right, so like I said, right, the whole goal is to make it into a quadratic. So now what if we do, again, synthetic division with C, because we know you're guaranteed to be true, right? It's a factor. So let's do synthetic division there. So again, run out of space here. So doing synthetic division with C equals 1. So we have 2, 1, negative 7, negative 3, 3. Bring this down, that's a 2. That's 2, add is 3. That's 3, negative 4, negative 4. Ooh, negative 1. Yeah, keep messing up today. Let me just start over. Minus this 1. Negative 6. That gives us 6. That's 3. And there we go. Okay. All right, so that's synthetic division. This is now degree 3, 2, 1, 0. So this now becomes 2x to the 3rd minus x squared minus 6x plus 3. Now, unfortunately, right, this is not a quadratic, but instead of using this now, we can actually start here. We're going to put this in the back burner, so real quick, right before we forget, we know x plus 1 factor, right? Because that worked out. So remember, it's not -1 because it's the opposite, because the format is x minus c. So since the c is -1, negative makes a positive, right? So you just opposite. All right. So again, at this point, right, we start from again. And, since I, know the answers, I don't want to take this too long. We know, or we'll just try 1/2 when it comes to it. Okay? So if you plug in 1/2 into this function now, okay, you should get 0. Okay? So therefore, let's do synthetic division with c equaling 1/2. Okay? All right. And again, right, you don't have to go through the original one. You can start here, which is the best part, because we're slowly breaking stuff down. So coefficients here would be -2, -1, -6, and 3. So always bring the first one down. Multiplying gives you 1. That gives you 0. That gives you 0. That gives you -3. And it gives you 0. So since we started with x to the third, therefore this one now becomes 0x's minus 6. All right, so, let's just recap what we have. So we have this x plus 1. Now we also have this x minus 1/2. Again, right, that's our other factor. So we still have 2 factors. And the next thing is just factor this. Right, it's a binomial, so we can just take what we have out. So this is the same thing as 2x squared minus 3. Right. Now at this point, you can leave it like this if you really want. I'm not that picky. But again, if you really want to factor this, you just break this down, right? So this is technically a difference of squares. Again, not a really big deal, but if you really, again, wanted to break this down, it would look like this. Right, with the 2 in the front. But again, right, but notice we get the plus and minus, we get, and the plus and as well, right, 2 and 2 itself. But again, just becomes when it, things like that, right? So completely factored. So what you guys actually want to look on the test is, again, you can leave it just like this if you guys liked. Right, that's the factor there, and just put the other 2 factors here. And there you go. So that is B. Pretty lengthy problems, like I said. Okay. Right, so it's pretty lengthy video, so I'm going to stop it here, and I'll do the other 2 in the next video.